Hey everybody, welcome to OtherRealm Studio. I am starting a little early tonight because I was just going to rework one of the first drawings that I did, or the first digital paintings that I did for the Magnolia Phone children's book. And I got started setting up to rework it, and then I started redoing it, and then I started getting further with it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm really tired. I might have to stop a little early, so I might as well start a little early. And so here we are. So yeah, as frequently happens, I am unhappy with my earlier work, and it wasn't really the best representation of what I'm capable of doing now. Um, you know, I improve all the time, consciously and unconsciously. So, this piece that I did, I think a year ago, just was not going to cut it anymore. So instead of like knocking out a children's book real quick, um, I'm pretty much making every page into a portfolio piece, essentially. And I know that gets me in trouble a lot, and it's very difficult to finish with any kind of speed, which is why I'm here streaming this, getting this done now, because that is just the sort of extra motivation I need to continue. You know, I've committed to working on this project for at least an hour every day. 8 p.m. at night is uh, decent as a time. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So today I have some good news. I printed off um, the finished and mostly finished pages. You can see some of them over here in the column to the left, or on the left side of the screen. Um, Excuse me, I really am tired. So I printed off the pages, um, just ran them on the on my home printer, and dropped them off over at Connie's so that she can take a look and um, send approval make changes, that sort of thing, before it's too late. And I also pulled a new reference picture. It's really cute. I'll bring that up in a minute. Okay, so in a minute I'm going to make the previous version of this deer visible again. All I have to do is click it on the side. Um, and you can take a look at, how the anatomy has changed since. Okay, let me do this real quick. How the anatomy has changed since uh, when I started this project. Um, and how my understanding of color and markings and stuff has changed. Um, it used to be I could never really see when the deer were roaming around in the woods. But now, I'm looking for them and I notice a lot more quickly, I think. Okay, so let's let's pull back a bit and uh, move this layer. Okay, so you can see that the earlier one that I've moved up higher, I mean, it's acceptable for a kid's book, but um, I just have a very rudimentary understanding of the markings. The color is very dull, and um, the legs are very wonky. Like, that's on me. I did not pay attention when I was structuring the legs, and I also made the body too thick, and the tail. So that was a lot of things that uh, I mean, what I did here was good enough for a kid's book, but it's not good enough to match the rest of this kid's book today. Okay, so let's fit that to the screen. And I may end up redoing the background here, which is like this, but more so. So I might have to come back and redo the background. Because in order for the book to be a single cohesive whole, yeah, let's get back to the right layer, then the art style has to match. And mine has just evolved since I started the project back a year or two ago. So yeah, this has really been a long time in the making. Long enough for me to have evolved and become a better artist, and to learn more of how to work with Clip Studio Paint. thank you, Coral Painter. Um, oh, I saw some interesting news, where Adobe had um, put some interesting sounding sort of language in their terms of service, and people who actually read them noticed that it seemed like things that grabbed rights and potentially violated NDAs and a lot of other things. And there was a big protest against Adobe, and they had to come out with a statement saying that, of course, they didn't mean that. Yeah, sure. Whatever you say. Um, yeah, I don't trust companies that change their terms of service and types of service every couple months. I think that you should be able to buy the license to use a product and keep it. Like, I really do not believe in the subscription service model. I mean, I do understand when it's for things that um, require more upkeep or require data, like when you're saving your work to the cloud so that you can work between your tablet and your computer and it's all saved the same. Yeah, that makes sense. That takes up space. That might require maintenance. But you need you need to have the option if you're not doing something like that. You need to have the option to just buy the software, use the software, and don't keep paying for the privilege of doing it because some of us are kind of on a budget, and we can't just keep paying for subscriptions to everything if we want to continue to get commissions. Well, we need the software to uh, do our work and do art commissions. And if we don't get any commissions that month, then where are we going to find the money to pay for the subscription? It's a very feast or famine kind of world out there for freelance artists. And so Clip Studio has been much more responsive to that kind of concern than Adobe has that I have seen. So I am very pleased to be remaining with Clip Studio. Um, I know that there are all kinds of ideas that get floated in meetings, and most of them are terrible and do not serve the customer. And so I appreciate Clip Studio for rethinking back when they were going to do a sort of thing like that. and backing down on it because it would have it would have destroyed their small creators. But Adobe is pretty much telling everybody that their terms of service doesn't really mean what it means in plain English, and I don't know if I believe them. Because interpretation is everything in the legal field, and if it's vague, then what's it doing? You can't have vague or confusing terms of service. You just can't. And so if so many people were that mistaken, they ought to be revising a few things. Otherwise, they can just interpret it however they please later. And that's really what I feel like they were doing. See, I would say never assume that, of course, they don't mean some incredibly unfair and short sighted term. Because when it's time for it to come around and bite somebody, all the corporate has to say is, it's in the TOS, you signed it. So that's my thoughts on Adobe. Um, so sometimes it is good to change direction a bit. Case in point, this work that I'm doing right here. I like this deer a lot more than the first one I had painted for this scene. But, I'm glad I caught it. I'm glad I have the habits established now to not take it for granted that something I was happy with before I'm going to be happy with in the future, because that is most certainly not true, and it's never been true, but I keep hoping. And what you have to do when you're doing a solo project, when you haven't been commissioned, or when you are the lead on a project, you have to know enough to be self-critical. You have to give yourself the critique. And that can be more of a balancing act than learning how to accept critique from other people. because my tendency is to uh, go way overboard and be kind of mean over it to myself. And I've had to learn how to be more at peace with where I used to be in my art and where I'm going with it. Because beating myself up for no reason isn't going to get me anywhere, and lying to myself won't get me anywhere either. So, yeah, I had an interesting time trying to narrow down what a potential client wanted. Um, I wasn't terribly familiar with it, but um, it seemed like I ought to be able to accomplish what he was going to want. And so we kept going back and forth and rehashing exactly what was meant and correcting the mistakes. And it's always important to maintain a friendly tone, even if it's not terribly professional to pepper all your business communications with smileys. Sometimes it's helpful. Um, just to make sure that you're keeping a light, friendly tone, especially when you're discussing um, where the communication may have misfired. And the trouble with that is that no one can tell what your tone is when they're reading. And if they've had a bad day, they might, you know, add a tone that you did not intend while they read. So while I'm not responsible for the tone in which other people read my words, I would still prefer not to lose somebody over a stupid miscommunication. Alright, I like this guy a lot better now. Let's blend him a little bit. Erase that smudge off the top line and give it a save. I was very disorganized with putting my layers down on this. Okay, I might resize and rethink the placement of some elements. Um, but anyway, I will come back to this later. Let's give that a save again. Let's see. Over here, I'm about finished with this one. I did the shadow layer and the highlight layers and tidied up, a bit of the painting. I'm really happy with how this little piebald's face turned out. Let's see. Oh, also took a little time earlier today to fix the size of this carrier. Let's delete that layer. Delete this layer. I went ahead and split these two pages, so that's why that's there. I don't know if I'm going to come back to this and do the sanctuary picture. Now, this one I haven't worked on at all with any sketches. So, let's take a look and bring down this one. This one's really cute. So, one of the things that Connie will do to make sure that the deer imprint on each other instead of on people is um, put similarly sized ones together. Now, usually it's two to a pin, but these are small enough. As you can see here, this one looks really good. This is a very nicely posed bit. So is this one. Similarly sized ones that are small enough to where they can't really hurt each other, and they all fit in the playpen. So she uses a lot of playpens. She uses a lot of pea pads to line them. And when they start jumping out of the playpens, that's when it's time to graduate them to the barn. So yeah, this is one that I wanted to import here, but I didn't get it started yet, so I don't know. Import image. It's already open up here. So I might have to downloads. Yeah. Here we are. Alright, so here it is. Let's close this here. Now, ordinarily I would kind of challenge myself to do this without having the reference on the underlayer. However, this is kind of a tricky angle. So I want to at least do a sketch. So you can see that we're looking down into the playpen at an angle. So the box of it of the playpen is like this. Hang on, that was an extra line. Okay, so this is what the box is like, and that's very difficult to keep in mind once you've completed the box, and then you put deer in it, and they're all facing different directions. Just look, y'all. I need to maximize my time here. This would be absolutely maddening. See, look, you can only see 2 of his feet. And see, this is if I'm going to put all 3 of them in here. So, I don't know. I probably should. Because what's better than 2 deer? So, while I have been working hard, um, making sure that I make at least a little progress every day, Connie is working a lot harder than I am because she just took in her 100th deer of the season. I expected this because every year she takes in about 100 deer. Uh, so she's about, that's about capacity for her, I think. And, a lot of orphans, a lot of injured ones. Um, they, there's some with piebald and dwarf characteristics, things that would make it very difficult for them to survive in the wild. Um, and so the ones that can't be released, uh, those are the ones that, hang on, those are the ones that Connie keeps in the sanctuary. She has to get each one individually licensed and permitted, and she neuters them. And since you're not supposed to let them breed in captivity, and she has feed and medicine to buy for like 20 years for each one. So that's a lot, especially for the ones with the health issues. Okay, now that I am confident that everybody is in place, I can turn that off, and I'll be able to come back to this one later. Um, hmm. So let's see. The other thing that I would like to do before declaring the illustrations finished, come on, click open. Right. So I need to come back in here, and all these deer, they need a little bit of repainting. I have to say, I did really good on Connie's house here. But the deer are an early version. They're very much in the style of the first one that I did up here. So you can see that later, not even that much later, I moved to a much more realistic style for them. So this little herd right here needs fixing. And let's see, this one needs a little more background. Um, it would be good to hand paint over the greenery right here. Since I am moving away from doing big double page spreads. I might divide all of these as well. I haven't really found any paintings that I really wanted to continue over to the next page after all. Hang on, let me hit the save. So there's a few things here and there. I still need a good reference for the bottle rack. I haven't seen it in many videos lately. So I also need to make this white line a little more subtle. But yeah, I need a good picture of the bottle rack that Connie uses. And of course, I do need to work on the story a bit. I can't show everything on the art stream. And there are a few revisions that I wanted to make, and I also want to go over all of it with Connie as well. I am about to fall asleep, so I gotta go soon, but before I do, I would like to once again direct you to the Magnolia Fawn Children's Book Kickstarter. Just go to Kickstarter.com, search me up. I'm OtherRealm Studio. The project is Magnolia Fawn Children's Book. And you can see here that I have just today updated with more pictures of the pages. So you can see how much care I've been putting into this project, and you know how much it means to me. And these are some additional rewards. This is a picture of the Mayapple Patch in Deerland, where the fawn are released with, with the rest of their herd, all their friends that they have made while being raised here at Magnolia Fawn Rescue. So she releases them all together so that they have a herd and a support group. And they all move off. So, even if you don't back the project, I would greatly appreciate a like and a share. I am sure that someone you know would love a copy. They're beautiful, and I am trying my best to convey that in my art for this book. And also, it's an educational book about what really goes on behind the scenes when you're a wildlife rehabber, like Connie is. And you can also find more videos and pictures of the fawn if you look up Magnolia Fawn Rescue on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. She's on all these platforms. And it's a 5013C organization, and you know, you're contributions are tax deductible if you'd like to send her something to continue caring for these beautiful animals. Alright, I gotta go now. I'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.